Hey guys, welcome back to episode 7 of my Desert-Only Ironman series. In this episode, we will unlock the player-owned house aquarium room. This will allow me to start collecting prawn points, greatly improving the effectiveness of my fishing. Starting out, we collected 4 bolts of cloth from the sawmill to use later, and moved our house to Polivanich with the real estate agent in Virac. Allowing the items necessary to unlock a servant and player-owned house were part of the allowed amendments to the Desert-Only rule, as this gives access to consistent construction training. With the player-owned house finally unlocked, thanks to finally achieving 20 construction at Anima Islands, I was able to begin traditional construction training. I started with pump and drains, requiring 7 construction and 5 steel bars, which were gathered in the last episode. I continued with this method until 30, where I was able to build 2 beds and hire a servant. Logs were gathered near the mage training arena, converted to planks at the sawmill, and used with the bolts of cloth collected earlier to make 2 bedrooms with beds. This allowed me to hire the cook, the first servant capable of transporting logs to the sawmill. With access to teak trees south of Uzer, I now had a method to produce planks with respectable experience rates. But first, I had to get to 35 construction to use them. With noted steel bars in hand, I used the cook's ability to unnote items to quickly finish off the stack. After a few quick levels with teak chairs, I unlocked teak dining tables, the hotspot where I would do the remainder of my training. The levels really started to pick up. However, there was a delay from normal training as I had to first unnote the logs, then convert them to planks, 16 items at a time. I took along fletching supplies to help pass the time, slowly working towards 55 for broad bolts. Unfortunately, I quickly ran out of logs. I would require just under 3,500 teak planks to achieve 62 construction to allow boosting for the aquarium. Due to the general difficulty of obtaining logs, having to run to Narda to bank each inventory, I limited my gathering to 1 hour per day, using my premier artifact Porter Chance. In the downtime, I decided to start another grind, Slayer points. I would start the grind at 75 Slayer, which I achieved exclusively from corrupted scarabs. I started out by crafting an amulet of strength, utilizing a ball of wool I collected from a baby impling. This would provide my new best in slot strength amulet, helping the Slayer grind greatly. But before I could start Slayer tasks, I required 90 combat. I decided to trawl through some defense training as I required 75 to unlock the full potential of my War Priest armor. First, I realized that the Mystic Light Top did not actually require completion of the Dragon Slayer quest, as I had first believed, so I grinded out that 3 out of 256 drop. Then I achieved 72 defense at Turoth's, along with 90 combat and access to Simona. As you can see, my first official Slayer task was Basilisks. The next few clips would be the most stressful moments of the account. I would require a total of 600 Slayer points to accomplish my goal for the Slayer reward shop, 300 each for the ability to craft Slayer rings and broad ammunition. Slayer rings would be the most cost-effective way to receive precious and enhanced components after unlocking Invention, giving the opportunity for cheaper augmentators and scavenging 3 attempts. Scavenging would be a very important perk to achieve, as it would open up the entirety of best in slot perks unobtainable in the desert, such as Crackling 3, Biting 3, Impatient 3, and others. Broad ammunition would provide cheap and fast fletching training to get me that much closer to 90 and superior scrimshaws, along with easy base and crafted parts after disassembly. This would have been relatively easy. That being said, I do not have access to a Slayer Master that can reset my tasks, so if I was assigned a task that I could not complete due to inaccessibility to the monster, I would be unable to receive any more tasks or points, killing all hopes for the entirety of the account. Slayer tasks can be cancelled for 30 points, so if I built up a decent amount, I would be relatively safe from that point on. And with Simona giving 12 points per task, it would not take too long to build up points. However, you can only start accumulating Slayer points after completing 5 tasks in a row, so I would require the completion of 8 tasks in a row before I could start canceling. 8 tasks in a row. Looking exclusively at Simona's task list, I would receive a Desert Slayer task only 45% of the time, with only a 0.2% chance of being able to complete 8 tasks in a row. With my Slayer level of 75, this was reduced to a 38% chance of a desert task. Thankfully, we had a few strategies to help boost my chance. For once, being a Desert-Only Ironman had its perks, as I had not unlocked quite a few of the possible tasks, such as automatons, avian seas, or aquanites. The weighting system also had to be taken into account, with Simona preferring to assign desert creatures. These reductions resulted in the original chance of 45%. We also had access to a very special item, Slayer VIP tickets. Found as a reward from Menophyte gift offerings, these give you the ability to choose between two possible tasks, roughly doubling my odds of a task to around 90%. 8 completable tasks in a row would work out to be around a 44% chance. Not great, but much more realistic. Thank God. With the Kuras task completed, I was able to accumulate 36 Slayer points, enough for a cancel, providing the first safety net. I would not make any purchases until I had enough points for both unlocks. While my luck was good at the moment, there's always the chance that a few bad lucks in a row could make me lose everything. I did have one task that I could not complete, but an easy 30 Slayer points gave me one that I could. I decided to keep going for a few more tasks just for the hell of it, eventually ending with an Aberrant Spectre task and 102 Slayer points for the future. While I did gain a few levels from traditional training, the XP rates could not compare to that of Corrupted Scarabs, with Pulse XP reeling in around 300,000 experience per hour at the floor XP drops. Honestly, fantastic XP. With 80 Slayer achieved and a few days of Teak logs banked, it was time to finish the aquarium. The same strategy continued, sending the servant to unnote 16 logs that convert those logs to 16 planks for Teak dining tables. I feel guilty abusing her so much, honestly. I feel it's pretty sexist that a cook is female. Salmon had to say it. Fletching was again used during the wait time, with 55 fletching and broad bolts quickly coming in. My wait time would then be aimed towards high alking and magic training. I also tidied up the cactus patch and Menaphos for some free and quick construction XP. This leprechaun would prove to be a beta teleport option to the Vinesweeper minigame. With a few more construction levels, 62 construction was achieved, boostable to 63, and the aquarium with tea produced by the cook. As it turns out, I'm an idiot and only required 61, as it's a +2 boost, but whatever. I started by building some important hotspots for future use, namely the shelves for tea, a teak lectern for Menaphos teletabs, and a teak altar for prayer point restoration. If a gold leaf could be obtained from city quests, I could make a mahogany eagle lectern for house teletabs. Tea production required a few more hotspots, a range, a sink, and a larder, which I promptly built. With the kitchen complete, it was time to get to work. With tea in my gut, I finally built the aquarium. The initial diving suit would allow me to open 5 daily oysters, giving a rare chance at my first onyx of the account. I could also gather seaweed, giving farming XP that scaled to my level. The prawn broker would allow me to start collecting prawn balls, and most importantly, Baron sharks. Throwing in my golden trout egg, I received 1 prawn point, which I promptly used to unlock baitless fishing, giving me access to free Menaphos fishing. Well, that ends up this fishy tale. Stay tuned next week as we find new strategies for dungeoneering and unlocking shifting tombs. Also, if you didn't notice, I placed 14 fish puns in this episode. Okay, 15.